About 10 years ago, I decided to escape the trap of corporate life. Eventually, I managed to get out and thought I was finally free. And for a while, I really felt that way. But it took me almost a decade to realize something that definitely wasn't part of my plan. I hadn't escaped the trap at all. I just built a better one. If you're somewhere around in your 50s, I'm sure you're familiar with this feeling. You know, the Sunday night feeling, when you realize the whole thing starts again tomorrow. The meetings, the emails, the clients, the routine. Maybe you're still in a corporate world, or maybe you've managed to get out and started something of your own. But at some point, you might have noticed that something doesn't feel quite right. You realize that most of your time doesn't really belong to you, and that you're not as free as you thought you'd be at this stage of your life. And it's still a long road until you are. I know because I've been through all of it myself. I spent 25 years in the corporate world. Then I got out, I built a business, and eventually I sold it. And when I finally stepped back from all of that, I realized something. For most of my corporate working life, I always felt slightly uneasy and trapped, like I was slowly suffocating. I think that's the only way to describe it accurately. Let me explain, and you might recognize yourself in this. I'd show up at the exact same time every day as I was supposed to. I'd go to meetings, most of which I felt were utterly useless, pretend I was listening and make sure I nodded at the right time. I'd do the work and look forward to the end of the day so I could jump on the train home, wondering what any of what I was doing was actually for. That was me for almost 25 years. Sounds crazy when you think about it. I was paid well enough to stay, but as things go when you're employed, you're rarely paid what you're actually worth. You have a boss, someone who tells you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. During those 25 years, I was basically trading my personality for a monthly paycheck. I call it a polite prison. You follow rules you didn't make, you can't really say what you think, you can't really be who you are, so you just perform. And if you step out of line, if you push back too hard or show too much frustration, then you get labeled. You're called difficult or not a team player. In the worst case scenario, you'd get punished with something they call a disciplinary action or a warning of some sort. So you end up playing the game you have to play to survive, so you can pay your rent and feed your family, and you learn to look like you're fine even if you're not. But here is the irony, and the thing that always got to me. If you quietly asked the people around you, you know, the colleagues you trust, the ones you know are honest, they'll tell you they feel pretty much the same way. And given the chance, 90% of them would rather be somewhere else than at work. But nobody says anything because they're all in the same boat and nobody wants to rock it. So we all just kept going, waiting for the weekend, for the holiday, for retirement, for some future moment when you finally have the chance to enjoy life. I can't believe I did this for 25 years, but sadly that came at a cost, a personal one. Eventually it just got to me because playing that game and pretending everything is fine day in and day out is very taxing on the mind. And eventually I cracked. I was diagnosed with depression. I didn't know what hit me then. I simply couldn't get out of bed. And it took me a while to realize that it was the result of years of pretending to be someone and doing something I didn't want to do while waiting to start living. But as I always say, there is a blessing in disguise in any situation. And this episode helped me do some soul searching, which led me to realize I couldn't keep going the way I was going. Something had to change. I had been thinking about starting my own business for a long time, but leaving a stable job and a guaranteed monthly paycheck is a big step, especially when you have kids. If you've ever considered doing it yourself, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But as time went on, staying in that corporate job was becoming harder and harder to bear. So eventually, I made a plan. I started a side hustle. The idea was simple: build something while I was still employed, and if things worked out, eventually leave my job and live off that instead. And interestingly, that decision alone changed a lot for me almost overnight. Nothing had actually happened yet, but suddenly I had a goal, a direction, a reason to keep going. For the first time in years, it felt like there might actually be a way out. My plan was very straightforward. Use the online marketing skills I had built over the years to help struggling small businesses. Build up a portfolio of clients, turn that into a small digital agency, and eventually walk away from corporate life for good. That was ambitious for sure, but I figured if I was going to try, I might as well aim high. The strategy was to start a YouTube channel. It would give me a platform to share what I knew and hopefully attract business owners who needed help improving their online presence. At the time, I thought it was going to be fairly easy. I thought that within a few months, I'd be turning clients away. In hindsight, I realized I was incredibly naive. The reality was very different. It was slow and a real slog. I had no filming skills, no editing skills, and I barely understood how YouTube actually worked. So I spent most evenings after work on my computer trying to figure it out. I used all of my weekends to write scripts, to film videos and edit them while everybody else was resting or having fun. After the first year, my channel got 47 subscribers. That was very disheartening. Hours and days of work that at the time felt like they had gone nowhere. Corporate life wasn't getting any better either, and the little bit of hope I had at the beginning was starting to fade. Another year went by before I got my first client, which was encouraging but still painfully slow. By the end of that second year, the channel had finally reached 1,000 subscribers. Not exactly impressive after 2 years of work, but just enough to keep me going. Then during the third year, something happened. I was on holiday and, like most YouTubers do, I was checking my channel stats. And I remember that moment very clearly. One of my videos had suddenly started getting a lot of views. That's when it clicked. By the end of that third year, the channel had grown to 30,000 subscribers. I was ecstatic. My plan had actually worked. Clients started coming in, there was revenue from YouTube, sponsorship deals started appearing. And before long, my side hustle was making as much money as my corporate job. I was only a few months away from handing in my notice, but I was still hesitating a little. Letting go of a job security is never easy. And then COVID hit. For a lot of people, that period was incredibly difficult. But for me, it turned out to be the biggest opportunity of my life. I was made redundant and given a generous check to leave. Suddenly, I had a financial cushion and I already had a business that was generating enough income to live on. The transition was smoothless. I still remember walking out of that office for the last time, standing on the platform at the train station, and the feeling was incredible. After 24 years, I had finally broken free. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what I worked for. And for a while, it really was. Running my own business, answering to nobody, building something from scratch. I genuinely loved it. But here is what I didn't see coming. Running your own business is no picnic. When it's your business, you quickly realize something. If you don't give it everything you've got, it probably won't work. It's very different from corporate life. There's no sitting in meetings, pretending to listen while you quietly drift through the day. When it's your business, you have to be focused, determined. There's no room for complacency. Showing up after a heavy night out and cruising through the day just isn't an option anymore. And then there are all the things you never really thought about before. The fear that revenue might suddenly drop. The worry about unhappy clients. The endless list of things that need doing, including jobs you never imagined you'd be responsible for, like accounting. Slowly, my workload started to ramp up, but when it's your own business, you don't really count the hours. You tell yourself it's different, it's your baby. And there's always something more to do. I was building websites for clients, making videos for my YouTube channels, trying to stay on top of industry trends, doing presentations, building courses. It was relentless. Without really noticing it, I started working 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. Then it became a 6-day week, and eventually a 7-day week. Not because someone was forcing me to, but because I was forcing myself to. And because it was my business, I told myself it was different. I told myself I was free. But what began as my escape route slowly became the thing I couldn't escape from. I was glued to my computer screen 10 hours a day. And when I wasn't, I was checking my phone, emails from clients, messages, YouTube statistics. And when I tried to relax, I'd watch TV. I was physically there, but mentally somewhere else. Always thinking about the next thing, the next deadline, the next video, the next idea. It slowly became an obsession. It was occupying my mind 24/7, and it started affecting my relationship badly. My partner was on the receiving end of it. The stress, the version of me that was always half somewhere else. I was so focused on building something that I forgot to actually live inside the life I was building it for. And the really uncomfortable truth, it was self-inflicted. Nobody forced me. There was no boss, no corporate machine grinding me down, just me, running on a treadmill I had built with my own hands. I had escaped one prison, and slowly, without noticing, I built another one. Admittedly, it was a nicer prison. One I was proud of, sure, but a prison nonetheless. And the walls of it were very real. In France, we have an expression for the corporate grind, métro, boulot, dodo, which translates to commute, work, sleep. A kind of autopilot life many people want to escape from. And I realized that's exactly what I had built for myself, just without the commute. 10 years had passed since I decided to start my side hustle to escape the corporate world. And I managed to turn it into a thriving little business. But one day I got up and that same familiar feeling came back. The one that used to hit me on the train home after a long day in my corporate job. What am I actually doing this for? I'm 55 now. Do I still want to work 7 days a week? So I made a decision. I sold the business so I could break out of the new prison I'd built for myself. And I expected again to feel free. And I'm not gonna lie, there was relief, absolutely. But it was also just weird. I don't really know how to describe it. This kind of silence. For the first time in 30 years, nothing. No clients, no emails, no deadlines, no meetings, no algorithm to feed, just silence. And I remember thinking, great, this is what I wanted. Except I didn't quite know what to do with myself. Which sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud. But I'd spent 30 years running, first away from corporate life, then flat out building the business, and at no point did I stop to ask, okay, what do I want my days to look like? Not the business, not the goals, just a normal Tuesday. What does a good one feel like? I had no idea. And that made me feel a lot more uneasy than I expected. So yeah, if any of what I talked about sounds familiar, trust me, you're not alone. I don't have a perfect conclusion for you. I'm not sure there even is one. But here is what I do know. There's a difference between escaping something and actually being free. And for a long time, I had no idea those were two different things. Selling the business answered one question. Did I still feel trapped? No, not anymore. But almost straight away, another question popped up. One I really wasn't ready for, because once everything just stopped, no more clients, no deadlines, no reason to sit at my desk at 7 in the morning, I had to figure something out that sounds like a nice problem to have. But it genuinely wasn't that simple. What do I actually want to do with the rest of my life? Should I retire altogether? Is that even what I want? Like, is retirement actually the right thing to be aiming for? When I really thought about it, I wasn't so sure. And that's exactly what I get into in this video.